Good evening. It is Saturday, February 20th. It is time for the Iman Report as we recap UFC Fight Night 185. Lewis versus Blades, and in the second round, Derek Lewis knocks out Curtis Blades and cements himself as the next contender after Ngannou and Stipe. The only downside is, though, for Curtis Blades, well, unfortunately for Blades, there is some guy by the name of John Jones who's likely going to get the next title shot after the winner of Ngannou and Miocic. So that's the bad news. So that could very likely mean that Curtis Blades is going to have to take another fight. But the good news for Derek Lewis. But the good news for Derek Lewis is he has a win over Francis Ngannou. Uninspiredly, of course, but he does still own that win in a very uninspiring fight against Francis Ngannou. So he is likely second in line for a title shot after John Jones at this point. But he is likely going to have to take one more fight before he does get entitled to that title shot. He could likely fight the loser. I think what could be next for what could be next for Derek Lewis is very likely the loser. I will say the loser of Ngannou and Stipe is what should be next for Derek Lewis. Lewis has a win over Ngannou. Let me see if he's fought Stipe or not. And if it ends up being Stipe the loser, Stipe would be a fresh matchup. What could throw a wrench out of all this, though, too, is that Stipe's up there in age. He only fights once or twice a year. So there's a real chance if, say, Stipe loses to Ngannou, Stipe could just call it a career. But at this point, I think the loser of Ngannou and Stipe is what should be next for Derek Lewis. As for Curtis Blades, maybe we are finding out where Curtis Blades' ceiling is at this point. Blades came in ranked number 2. That's likely going to fall. But he's got a murderer's row of wins. He's beaten Volkov. He's beaten Ngannou. He's beaten Shamil. His only other loss is twice to Francis Ngannou. So if Ngannou had somehow won the title, it would have likely be Curtis Blades would have been locked out of any chance of a title. So for what could be next for Curtis Blades? I think the loser of Gagne and Rosenstruck is maybe what should be next for Curtis Blades. That is one route you could go. Another route you could go, let me see if they've fought before. They have. So I think realistically the loser of Rosenstruck and Gagne is what should be next. Should be next for Curtis Blades, but maybe we are finding out where Curtis Blades' ceiling is at this point. Next fight up on the docket, Yana Kunitskaya beats Ketlin Vieira in a unanimous decision. I don't know if I exactly agree with the decision, but Kunitskaya does get the win at a catch weight of 138 pounds in one of many fights where fighters did miss weight, unfortunately. Vieira came in 2 pounds over the limit. Gordon came in 4 pounds over the limit. Rodriguez came in 4.5 pounds over the limit. Danny Chavez, and then we had a fight between Alves and Sabatini, where Alves came in an astonishingly 11.5 pounds over the limit. So then that fight was eventually canceled. This was a very eerie card with missed weights. We had one fight that got canceled before the fight got to the octagon. That was Jamal Emmers and Chaz Skelly came onto the octagon, and Emmers had a spasm. The fight was canceled right there in the octagon. What could have gone wrong did go wrong in this fight tonight. But Kunitskaya ends up being the victor over Vieira. And let's see their rankings at this point. Yana Kunitskaya, now 14-5 in the UFC. Ranked number 8 according to Tapology in the women's bantamweight division. And she did beat number 7. So I think what could be next for Kunitskaya is the winner of Juliana Pena and Holly Holm. Kunitskaya could be approaching a title shot in the very shallow 135-pound division, women's 135. As for Ketlin Vieira, she is 1-2 in her last 3 fights. So maybe we are starting to find out a ceiling for Ketlin Vieira. Vieira ranked 6. I think for her, maybe a fight with... No, she's beaten her, so we're going to have to move further down the chain. Maybe the loser of... Yeah, I'll go with the loser of Marion Renault and Macy Chiasson is what should be next for Ketlin Vieira. But Vieira probably starting to find a ceiling at the women's 135 division. Fight before that, Derek Minner in a bit of a snoozer fight beats Charles Rosa in what was mostly a grappling fight there. Minner beats Rosa 30-26, 30-27, 29-27. And Minner starting to climb the division a bit at the one, starting to climb the ladder at the 145 division. Minner now 71 according to Tapology. Minner 2-1 in the UFC, so he's starting to find himself in the UFC. 2-1 is not a bad spot. Let's see who maybe a next fighter should be for Minner. I say Mads Burnell is maybe what should be next for Derek. Well, I don't know if he's fighting anymore. Oh yeah, I'll go with Mads Burnell. Mads Burnell is what I think. No, Burnell's not in the promotion anymore. Okay, my bad. Or I'll go with Chris Fishgold. That's what I'll go with. Chris Fishgold is maybe what I will go with for Derek Minner. That's what should be next for him. As for Charles Rosa, not a successful return to 145. Rosa continues to exchange wins and losses in the UFC, so he is certainly a gatekeeper at this point. But we'll see who's ranked below for Rosa. But maybe a guy like Matt Sales. Yeah, I'll go with Matt Sales. That's what should be next for Charles Rosa. Loser versus loser, so we'll go with that. Fight before that, Chris Daukaus obliviates Alexei Olenek. Daukaus knocks out a top 10 fighter. Daukaus will likely have a number next to his name come Monday. And Daukaus has earned the right to fight a top 10 fighter next. What should be next for Chris Daukaus? The winner of Shamil Abdurakhimov and Sakai is what should be next for Daukaus. Daukaus earned his ranking tonight. As for the elder statesman in Alexei Olenek, he will certainly fall down in the rankings from 10. Olenek is 2-4 in his last 6 fights. Granted, but this one's probably the worst loss he's suffered. 59-15-1. I don't know how many fights is left on his contract. He's 43 years old. I honestly think what should be next for Olenek is maybe consider retirement at this point. And if not retirement, maybe you go into a retirement fight with Andrei Arlovsky. Ironically, these two, I don't think Olenek and Arlovsky have ever fought each other, and these are both elder statesmen in the UFC. Yeah, set it up. A legends fight between Arlovsky and Olenek is what should be next. And then both retire afterwards. Give one of these fighters an opportunity to retire. I think Olenek and Arlovsky what should be next. Phil Hayes beats Nasiri Imavov via majority decision. This one was a snoozer. This one was truly a snoozer. And if you could dock pay for their fights, I think this one certainly would have the right where you should dock their pay for their piss poor performance in the octagon tonight. Megatron 10-2, but he did not win a lot of fans with that win tonight over. Megatron's got to show me something the next time he is in the octagon. He is 54. What should be next? I'll say Darren Wynn is what should be next for. Yeah, I think that'd be a fun fight. Daron wins. What should be next for Phil Hayes? As for what should be next for Imavov, ranked 62, his first. Now 1-1 in the UFC, he could certainly get punished with a debutante who will bring him a fight. That is a real possibility. I say the loser of I'll go with the loser of Marc-Andre Barriault and Abud Izatar is what should be next for Nasruddin Imavov. And in the opener of the main card, Tom Aspinall submits Andrei Arlovsky in the second round. Aspinall, certainly more known for not being a knockout artist, but certainly came when he couldn't knock out Arlovsky. Second round, he went to his grappling, which is which actually he has a little bit of a skill set for Aspinall. He does have some experience in grappling, and he gets the submission of Andrei Arlovsky. This Aspinall, another some fresh blood at heavyweight. Aspinall certainly could have a number next to his name on Monday. I think what should be next for Tom Aspinall, I say Marcin Tybura is what should be next. And as for Arlovsky, as I said earlier in the show, the lazy matchmaking, Olenek is what should be next. Now on to the prelim cards, where we had a lot of knockouts, except for the top one on the prelims. Jared Gordon beats Danny Chavez via unanimous decision. Unfortunately, Gordon missed weight by 5 pounds in this fight. Am I still on air? Yeah, I'm good. But for Gordon, what should be next for Jared Gordon? Gordon's got to make the 145 weight next time. That's important. He is ranked 46 at featherweight. So I say the winner of Kroom and Caceres is what should be next for Jared Gordon. As for Danny Chavez, what should be next for Danny Chavez? Chavez ranked 86 according to Tapology. I say the loser of Phillips and Songs, what should be next? Oh, maybe not that. Or Kyle Nelson. I'll go with Kyle Nelson's what should be next. Fight before that, John Castaneda knocks out Eddie Wineland in the first round. And also likely ended the career of Eddie Wineland at this point. Castaneda now 18-5, ranked 60 at bantamweight. I say the winner of Batjarel and Naftividad is what should be next for John Castaneda. And as I said, for Eddie Wineland, I think the best thing that needs to happen for Eddie Wineland is to call it a career. You're 1-4 in your last 5 fights. So I think you only fight once a year. Wineland's 36. His last win is against Grigory Popov, who I don't even think is in the UFC anymore. But he's been knocked out in his last 2 fights. The chin is eroding. And he only fights once a year, so I think for Eddie Wineland, I think it's time for him to call it a career. Fight before that, Julian Erosa beats Nate Landwehr via TKO flying knee. What is next for Julian Erosa? Erosa could likely get 50 G's out of that win. Juicy J now 48th, ranked 48 at featherweight. I think him and Ludwig Klein is what should be next. Go with that. As for Nate Landwehr, not in a great position, 1-2. I think next for him is the loser of Laramie and Jackson. Go with that. Fight before that, Casey O'Neill beats Shayna Dobson via TKO. O'Neill winning her UFC debut. What should be next for Shayna O'Neill? It's going to be Casey O'Neill. What's next for Casey O'Neill? King Casey 6-0 as an MMA fighter. She is ranked at can't find her ranking. I'll have to maybe go with where Dobson's ranked then. We'll improvise on rankings at this point. Here we go, strawweight rankings. But no doubt for Shayna Dobson, she's getting cut after this fight. 1 and 3 is just simply not going to do the job, and I think for her another promotion is what should be next for Shayna Dobson at this point. And I'll just... Oh, they're flyweights. I no wonder I'm... But I think the winner of Botello and Kim's what I'll give next for O'Neal. That's the best I'm going to be able to find with the rankings at this point on that one. For the fight before that, Ayman Zabi beats Draco Rodriguez by a first round knockout. Zahabi 8-2 in the UFC. The question's going to be with Zahabi. Can he finally be able to string it together? He is 8-2. Hopefully he'll be able to be a little bit more active this year because he is a bright prospect coming from the George St. Pierre camp. I'll go with the winner of Burshak and Eduardo is what should be next for Zahabi. As for what should be next for Draco Rodriguez, Draco ranked 97, his first loss, and this is his debut, so I think next for him is a debutant. And the fight before that, Sergey Spivak TKOs Jared Vanderaa. Vanderaa took more punishment than I would like to see tonight, unfortunately. Chris Tognoni with my WTF of the night. He let a few fighters tonight take a bit too much punishment in the octagon. So Tognoni needs to be better at not letting fighters take punishment. I really did not like that. Vanderaa that fight should have been called earlier. What should be next for Sergey Spivak? Spivak 12-2. You know, I say the winner of Lynn's and Rothwell's what should be next for Sergey Spivak. And that will put a bow on UFC Fight Night 185. Next week's UFC Fight Night 186. Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Cyril Gagne. This should be a very fun fight card. You've got Nikita Krylov versus Magomed Ankalaev. That should be a fun fight. Montana De La Rosa versus Mayra Silva. Randy Brown versus Alex Oliveira. Pedro Munoz versus Jimmy Rivera. Very fun fight card for a fight night card. And then UFC 259, they are actually having a contest to allow fans at the UFC Apex. That is starting to become a little bit of a burning question for me going into March and April. You got the Las Vegas Golden Knights over there. They might be allowing fans at 20% capacity at T-Mobile Arena very soon. So this could get very interesting for the UFC. I know Dana White has said he only wants to have fights back with 100% capacity. But at what point does the UFC maybe bite the bullet and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and have fans back at 25% capacity or 50% capacity, because let's face it, the UFC does need the gate revenue at some point. And with more people getting vaccinated in America, it might be time to start making a plan to get fans back, for the UFC to start getting back on the road and start getting fans back in the arenas. And I think we are ready to see fans back in the octagon in some way, shape, or form sooner than later. So this is going to get interesting. If, say, Nevada approves the Golden Knights plan to allow fans back in T-Mobile Arena, does the UFC go back to T-Mobile Arena and Dana White just reneges his promise and goes to T-Mobile Arena with, say, 25% capacity or 50% capacity? I think this question is going to be sooner than later at this point. And we are going to find this out during the month of March. But we are looking forward to the day where we can have fans at UFC arenas again. I think that's going to be sooner than later. I think the vaccinations are going to catch up next week. So I think things are going to be sunnier and brighter soon. Everybody have a good week. I'll be back tomorrow to start previewing Major League Baseball. We are getting close to spring training, so it's time to start previewing the divisions. So we'll do that tomorrow. But everything else, everybody have a great night. Stay awesome. Stay safe. Good night, everybody.